Hey, Vice, thanks for coming in, guys. Welcome in. All right, Vice, all good. I just had to go let my dog out because she always waits till I push the go live button, and then she's like, I need to go outside right now. It's like, of course you do. Of course you do. All right, let's get started. If I can figure out how to make this work. Where's the button? There it is. There we go. What's up, everybody? I hope y'all had a wonderful Saturday and survived the time change, because I know it was a beatdown. All right, let's see. I was just cleaning up something real quick from last night. Let's see. Cert server had one thing that failed. This was us deploying that lab after all the troubleshooting. But the damn cached ISO. Such a pain. Alright, let's see what it did here. File not found. Cert util system cannot find the specified file. Okay. It looks like this one, though, was specifically for escalation 6. Which one is escalation 6? Let's see. I don't remember which one was escalation 6. Edit attribute subject name to registry flag on the CA. So when enabled, flag allows the certificate requester to specify arbitrary sans. Ooh, nice. Okay. I'll tell you, there's actually one that's really awesome. Certify. When I need to actually go through and double check stuff, Certify is actually super handy for that. Hey, Samantha. Welcome in. Let's see. Where's the wiki? Certify, I don't use too frequently. Sometimes I use it. But his breakdown of the different escalation paths is super handy in here. Does it have a... Here we go. Where's escalation 6? Certificate authority allows sans specification via request attributes. Surprised I haven't run into this one more often. That's kind of interesting. Hang on one sec. Let me check something in OPSEC mode real fast. Something is not kosher. One of my systems is offline. All right, I think it's working. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like everything's going good. All right. Well, let me turn that off. Let's see. Hey, Max. Everything's going great, man. We had some time today, so we were able to go look at and fix and test Agent Zero's four-wheeler. And so what was happening to it as we're going through there is we make some space here. Kind of clear this out a bit. So what happens is inside of his four-wheeler, we were breaking it down earlier today, is you've got, let's call it like this is his crankcase right here. And there's two spinning discs, one here, one here. So this one actually connects to the engine. And this one over here connects to the drive axle. So this goes to the drive wheels here. And they've got a belt that goes around them. So in this one right here, this is called the variator. And I think this is just called the clutch. I'm actually still learning all the various pieces to it right here. So inside the variator, underneath it, there's these channels in here that sit kind of like this. There's actually 5 of them, but I suck at drawing. And inside each of those, there's a little roller. And so this is designed, this is not a shifter bike. This is like a CVT kind of system. And those rollers, there's basically like another one that sits kind of like this right here. Those rollers, when they were coming together, were getting stuck like this. So they couldn't fly out. They're supposed to kind of fly out in this direction. That induces friction, and then it starts allowing this to drive the clutch over here. And so the kind of shoe clutch will then grab it as it starts spinning. So when those rollers got stuck together, he's not getting all the friction against the wheel here. So after we went through and fixed that, all of a sudden now he's got all of his power back. So it just had some gunk in there, some buildup. We went and cleaned it out, and now he's got his full power back, and he was just ripping around the yard today. So it was really cool. Flying Visit just saying, hey, Whoopin', what's up, man? Thanks for stopping in, dude. Yeah, it was a night and day difference, Max, because when he was hitting his throttle, he was just he was taking off, but he wasn't like taking off, right? You could tell there was a big difference in it. And now when he hits it, like he's actually like flinging dirt. He's roosting when he does that. So, yeah. And it's not a very big area we've got in the yard for them to ride on. They do a lap like every 25 seconds. So, that, I mean, they're doing pretty good on there. But yes, that was a very nice thing to get sorted out and know that we didn't have any other further mechanical issues on his bike. Let me clear all that up. All right. So what I was just taking a look at is, yesterday we had the lab deploying over on the Ludus server overnight, and everything looked good except we had one failure that popped up right here, and it was on the CERT server. And looks like the one error that we've got was it didn't like something about escalation 6. So I was just trying to remind myself what escalation 6 is. Do I really even care that escalation 6 did not make it in there? Now, so I was going through actually the CertiPy wiki and double checking which one was escalation 6 because I did not remember what it was. It's like 1:15 a.m. Oh, dang. I get that, Whoopin'. So I was supposed to have been over to go test the bike out earlier in the day, and I fell asleep with the kids, and my wife didn't wake me up till like after they were already up and like playing. I'm like, oh, why didn't you get me up? It's like, you look like you needed the sleep. I was like, I did, but I wanted you to get me up anyway. So this one's interesting. So escalation 6, which like I said, I'm surprised I haven't come across this. This is a certificate authority configuration setting. The edit F attribute subject name 2 flag. So this flag right here. So when the flag is enabled on an enterprise certificate authority, typically via some kind of policy module, permits the CA requester, permits the certificate requester to include a subject alternative name in their certificate request by specifying a specific attribute. And it's highly significant because the CA will honor these SANs and embed them into the issued certificate, even if the certificate template used for the request does not have the enrollee supply subject name. This is the one where it's like basically escalation 1. So like if we come up to the very top, this one is, yeah. So basically it's a variant on escalation 1 where if another flag is set on the certificate authority, you can still do this, the secondary subject alternative name. And that subject alternative name on the certificate is what allows you to get the basically authenticate and get a Kerberos ticket with that certificate. So rather than using your password, you talk to the certificate authority or talk to Active Directory. I forget the exact flow. But anyway, you present that certificate and say, yeah, by the way, I'm going to authenticate with the certificate. There's a little bit of a challenge back and forth. But rather than doing the NTLM challenge, you are doing the certificate challenge back and forth. And once that has been approved, then you get your TGT. So it takes the place of the password is what it does. The CA, yes, the CA should have the copy of the public key and you have the private key. So that's the way that's going to happen in there. So escalation 6 is a variant on escalation 1. That's probably why I haven't run across it. Interesting. So if we're missing escalation 6, that is fine. Let's go take a look at it over in Proxmox here. Let's see. Pool view. So this should be AD Lab right here. All right, so we have our DC workstations, all of our SCCM stuff, and our certificate server. Nice. Nice. What is the workstation's IP address? Let me see. Will this show us the IP address here? It will not, but that's okay, because we can actually get it from the Ludus server. So if we do Ludus range list, it will give us all the host names in there. We'll just RDP over to it real quick. Let's see. So workstation is .11. Let's see. Do I have one for AD Lab? I do. So we'll just repurpose this one. Are CAs officially supposed to be offline like cold storage? I'm not sure what the best practice for that is. Typically, no. In this particular one, no. There's some other ones though, like where it's a public certificate authority that's like a root trusted signing authority on the internet. Yes, you would typically have like this root CA be like kind of air gapped if you really wanted to like have the best security. And then what you do is you would like basically sneaker net those certificates for the actual sub CAs that could then issue the certificates over to the other ones. That way, if a sub CA gets compromised, you can basically just revoke that one and then have the CA issue a new sub CA certificate and then bring it over to it. So you could do your recovery that way. But that's more for like public infrastructure signing certificates. Let me see. What do we call this one? We'll call this one Windows 11 Workstation. And what was the IP address to this one? It is 10.9.10.11. Let's go over here. 10.9.10.11. And then I believe they've already got the credentials kind of set for it. All the credentials are pretty much the same. Local user, password, that should be good. Let me see if I can just RDP over to this workstation real quick. Let's see what it's got on it. Yep, sign them out. Oh, domain user is logged in. Oops. That would have been the better one to actually test out. Because local user is a machine account in the SAM of that box. Domain user would have actually tested more stuff for us. Although it looks like the lab deployed just fine on 2019 versus 2022. So we're good. I want to set up my own CA, but thinking about how to implement what you were just talking about with a sub CA. That's a pretty common pattern, especially in a very high security environment like that. System 32, what's up, man? Yeah, I hadn't seen you in a while. I hope you've been doing well. Oh, so you're looking at browser authentication certs for logging to some of your backend dashboards. Nice. Nice. I am personally a big fan, whooping, of Tailscale. And that's how I connect over to my system that's running, like my dedicated Nook that I've got running AI agents on. That's how I do it. So it makes it really easy to get onto it from like my phone, because I just connect my phone to my tailnet and then tell it, hey, go SSH to this box. Boom. So I have SSH access to it from anywhere in the world. All right, let me check some stuff in here. Maybe we'll just do a little bit of tinkering around tonight. Let's see. Virus threat protection. Everything's kind of turned on. Let's do something real quick. Let's come over to our Le Terminal. And we'll run that as an administrator. There we go. And what I want to do is I want to set... Not execution policy. What is this? Is it GP preference? No, what is it? It's something preference. For basically for allowing to bypass a certain folder in Windows Defender, and I'm drawing a blank on it. MP preference, I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So exclusion path. It's not malicious. You bastard. Okay, hang on. So you know what we'll do is make their payload. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do payload. So it doesn't like us excluding the entire C drive, but it will let us do that. I'm like, okay, fine, whatevs. Hey, Drews, what's going on? Have you watched the movie Hackers lately? Not in a very long time, but I've seen that movie so many times. I can damn near quote it from memory. Let's see. I looked at the WireGuard protocol, and I really like that the UDP drops anything that's not signed packets, so it looks close on the outside like a firewall. Oh, it looks close to the outside from the firewall. Oh, yeah, got it. And WireGuard can bypass filtering because it can just TLS right through 443. So I was thinking, why not just use TLS to route everything through a reverse proxy using a client cert server? Oh, nice. So what we're working on today is just checking out the new lab we deployed over into Ludus. And what I am thinking about doing is... Actually, I think I need to deploy a couple more systems over in here. But I'm not quite sure how I want to do it. Because what we currently have... No, that's not the right one. Where's that? What we currently have is we have two isolated labs right now set up over in Ludus. So all this is in Ludus. And this is our AD lab range. So our AD lab, and this is our dev range here. And they have different, basically network spaces. So this one is 10.900/16. And this one I think is 10.11. Let me go double check it actually before I misspeak. Let's see here. I think it's Hack the Box. Yeah, there we go. And so if we look at this one, this will tell us what our network space is. 10.5. Okay. The way this addressing scheme works in Ludus is it's always 10, the range number, the VLAN, and then the endpoint IP. So these are all on VLAN 10. That's why they're all in the 10 like this. So we could actually set up VLANing in here and not let certain boxes talk to each other. Just haven't done it. No need to it for this particular scenario. All right, so this one is not 11. This is 5.0.0.16. So that's what this one is. And these two cannot talk to each other by default. I think there's a way to allow them to talk to each other. But what we have in the AD lab is we have our workstation, and then we've got our DC. We have our CA for certificate attacks, and then we've got like a full slew of SCCM systems set up over here. SCCM. And in the dev system, what we've got over here is we've got Mythic set up. We have Mythic, and then we also have Claude. we have Claude Code set up with our Mythic MCP server that we've been testing. Mythic MCP. Like this. So what I was thinking about doing is just tinkering around with it for tonight and getting a little bit better idea of some of the workflows, things that might happen with executing this portion here over in the AD lab. So to do that, I think I'll need to go deploy one more system over to AD lab, which is not a big deal. We just have to go drop another Debian system on there. We set up Mythic, we set up Claude Code, we get cloned down the Mythic MCP, and then we should kind of be up and running. Yes, correct. A /16 would be 255 in the first octet. So that slash means how many bits from the left are turned on. So if it's 16, you've got the first octet and the second octet completely turned on. So you get 255, 255, and then everything else is just zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0. So yeah, that's it. You're still getting snow? Man, it was in the... What is it right now? It's 64 here now, but I think it was like in the mid-70s here earlier today. Deefus, hey man. Actually, so Deefus, hang on, let me show, I'll hook you up with something. Because yeah, I could explain it, but actually there's some more I'm currently trying to understand because there is so much to it. Let me see if I have it up. I don't think I have it up. Hang on. So there is a really great misconfiguration manager. There's an entire repository put out by one of the researchers at SpectreOps called Misconfiguration Manager. And here, I'll drop this over for you. So check that out. This will walk you through the entire thing. So it's got a complete breakdown of the various attacks and the defenses. So like there's different takeover techniques. If you want to really look into it, you go to attack techniques or defense techniques in here. So for example, there's different coercion primitives that you can do, different credential style attacks, different takeover attacks here. This one, which one would be? I think we did takeover 1 on one of the last penetration tests that I did, just towards like the end of the year. And I believe it was takeover 1. Yeah, hierarchy takeover via NTLM coercion and relay to the Microsoft SQL server on the remote site database. So here in SCCM, if we look at what we've got in the AD lab, notice how we have an SCCM SQL server. This one, right? Yeah. So that one is our SQL server that is running everything for SCCM or MCM or ConfigMan. It's got like 3 different names because Microsoft sucks at naming anything ever in the history of ever. And just know that usually those 3 are all synonymous. Largely should be replaced by Intune, but nobody's using Intune. Hey Bobby, what's up, dude? So the way these systems interact with each other and with the workstations opens up various methods of coercion and attacking them. So I thought it'd be fun maybe just to start playing around with that. This might be a good test case for the MCP server. We can get some ideas on how to best integrate that in the future over to into HackBot when we do the rewrite of it. And we'll probably tinker around a bit with the rewrite idea. SC seems like an image deployment thing, right? It can do image deployment via Pixie Boot, I'm pretty sure. But for the most part, it's meant for like pushing software. Hey Gumby, what's up, man? Gumby, I saw your DM. Give me a second and I will answer that DM. I thought I'll just answer it up on stream since I know you and other people were probably answering the same question. And so, yes, I believe you can do image-based deployment through Pixie Boot. Let me see. Can SCCM do image? I believe so. Let me see. Deployment by Pixie Boot. I want to say yes. Yeah, so image deployment is just like one part of it that it's doing, whooping. And for the most part, though, once you're connected to SCCM, it's actually being used to like push configurations and software and everything down to that system. Basically, anything that Intune could have done, I think minus the image deployment, SCCM could do. There is, well, I'll take it back. There's some other things that Intune can do, but the two have a very big like feature overlap. Just way different implementations to it. I was extra thirsty because I finished my Jocko early. Not sponsored by Jocko yet. We used something that predated that back in the NT4 2000 days, but I forgot what it's called. Man, I'm not even sure because SCCM, I believe, was released. When? Let's see. When was SCCM released? I want to say 2003. Oh no, this was way older than that. Initially released in 94, so I was way off. Actually, hold on. So SCCM, which was the System Center Configuration Manager, was originally released in 1994 as SMS, System Management Server. So maybe that was it. And then, yeah, there you go. And then in 2007 was when it got rebranded to SCCM. And then later, I think it was rebranded to like ConfigMan. A lot of other stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, that was back in the day. Let's see. Including platforms like managing MS-DOS, Windows NT, and NetWare. You guys remember NetWare? Man, that was a long time ago. So long ago. I'm so old. Dude, whooping, I was driving with my brother through our hometown where we grew up as kids yesterday. And we're driving past stuff, and I'm like, hey, remember when that used to be that? Yeah, but then it became this thing. Oh yeah, and then after that, it was that other thing. And it's like, bam, 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 bam. And like each of those things was there for like 10 years. I'm like, holy crap, we're old now. You used to run a NetWare 4 network? Damn. If you're 18 again, what would be your first step to getting a job? Oh my God. That's a scary prospect right now because everything is very weird at the moment. Honestly, if I was 18 again, what I would focus on doing is a bunch of self-study. I would get myself a job that required work, but not a lot of brain power. Because then when work was done, I would put that into, I would actually go home and burn my brain power to be able to work on something. And then also I would get plugged into as many local groups as I can. Now, I was very fortunate to be in Dallas, where we've had DC214, the local DEF CON group that's been operating since way before I started going in 2010. And there's also the local 2600 group, and now we even have Dallas Hackers Association. And those are just like the three big for like offensive security. There's a whole bunch of other ones. There's one up in Denton now that's DC940, and I think there's even like a 2600 Fort Worth. So like in the Dallas Fort Worth area, there's something you could be going to like every week. So I tell you that because getting plugged into those kind of groups where you can get to know people and you can pick their brains and get an idea of their expertise, and then they can get an idea of yours, is super important. Every job I have gotten in tech was been because I knew people who were already working there. It has truly been not necessarily to the detriment of my merits, right? I've been fairly well skilled. I did a good job at all my employments. I was by no means the most skilled, though. I'll be straight up with you on that. However, I was able to work with folks. Ah, frickin' advertisements. All right, I'll save that for just a second. Let's do a little bit of change on the lab real quick. Let's see. In the AD lab, actually, do I have my range config? Yes. What do I have in here? So that's the dev box. Then we have test 1. All right, here's what I'm going to do. That's not what I want to do. What line is this? This is from line 2 to 14. So I need about 12 lines after this. I'm going to do something real quick. Rep for tag dev and give me 15 lines after that. There we go. That didn't give me enough? Really? I thought that would have been enough in there. Give me 20 lines. There we go. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this part right here, and we're going to drop this over into the AD lab and make this our attacker box. So what we're going to do is we'll just Vim both of them. We'll do that. So the 2019 one is the one we currently have deployed. Let me do something here. Let's set paste. Okay, it would help if I actually typed it correctly. And then insert, just like so. All right, so this should be... Oh no, I need to indent that because I think it's going to mess it up. Actually, let's do this. Didn't like that, did it? Actually, yeah, that should have worked. Let me see. I just try to make sure all the indentation is correct in here. That's not correct. Hang on. I know there's a better way to do this in Vim. I am a Vim scrub. Even as much as I'm a Vim scrub, I absolutely hate Nano. Hang on. Let me fix this real quick. One of the guys on stream had me looking at a different text editor. I forget what the name of it was. And it looked really interesting. But I was like, I just need to be able to work faster. So I didn't do it. Let me see. Let's bring all that in. Okay. I need to take out some of these lines. We do not need PyCharm. We don't need poetry. Don't need PyCharm. I guess we'll go ahead and get an XFCE environment. We do want Docker. We'll go ahead and leave this in VLAN 10, and we'll make this one 250. So this is what I was talking about. The range ID in this case is going to be whatever user ID this machine is. VLAN being 10, so that's the third octet. 250, this will be the fourth octet of the IP address. Yeah, exit that. Let me tail that real quick. I think that's what I want to do. Let me get tag 20 on here. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to grab a copy of this real fast because what I need to do now is Vim the other one, the 2022 version. All right, let's set paste. Drop that in there. That should be good. Okay, so this way we'll have the same attack box on both systems. Yes, here we go. Oh, hey Jesse, what's going on, man? Welcome in. Twitch marketing be like, shush, nerd. I know, right? So what I was saying, whooping, I was just doing this while I was waiting for the ads to roll off, is every job I have gotten has been because of people that I knew and they knew my skill set. And a big part that a lot of people overlook is they're like, hey, I know 1,000 different frameworks and I can code in 20 different languages and I've got the freaking RFCs memorized. That's cool, but if you're a jerk to work with and you can't personally get along with folks, that's going to kill a lot of that. There's very few roles where you do not have to go interact with a team. Shut up, baby. I know it. There's very few roles where you don't have to go interact with the team. And so a big part of getting out and being in part of those groups is them understanding, okay, yeah, I like this person, we mesh, and his technical skill set is viable for this position. That's a big part of it. That was the last part I was trying to get across to you. So Jesse, what we're working on today is just doing a little bit of home labbing. We've been working on a MCP server to connect over to a Mythic server. And we've just deployed a brand new, shiny, fresh and clean AD lab over into Ludus. And so what we're going to do is we're going to set up a new box over here. All the Windows deployments take forever. The Debian server here will just take like a few minutes to deploy. So once we get that set up, then we're going to go through, we're going to configure Mythic, we're going to set up Claude code on it. And in fact, you know what we'll do? I'll leave it up to y'all. Do you guys want to see, because I could go either way on this. We could just do straight up vanilla Claude code and let it interact with the MCP server and see what it does. Or I can go grab Pi and I can put Pi onto it, Daniel Miesler's project, and we'll see how it does. We could even do both. In fact, hold on, you just reminded me. What I want to do now is, actually, I want to shut down the lab real quick. So let's do this. So we're on AD lab. What I want to do is, I think it's Ludus range shutdown. Is that it? Where is it? Is that not it? There was a shutdown command in here somewhere. Where did I see that? You tried vibe reversing, like connecting Claude with IDA Pro. There's two problems with that. One, I know diddly about reverse engineering. I am very, very weak in that area. Two, I definitely cannot afford an IDA Pro license. However, there is a story I've bookmarked for the Wednesday night news stream that we're going to go over, and it's about a guy who is very skilled in that area doing like that exact same thing, and he's using it for reversing unknown malware samples. So I bookmarked that because I just read the intro. I don't typically, the news stories I pick out, I don't typically read them in advance. I want to give y'all a fresh perspective as I'm reading through it. And I did read the intro for that one, and it was just total BDE from the intro. He starts a reverse engineering session before he even says a word. He's got his laptop connected to the projector. He starts his little custom reverse engineering workflow that he's got and lets it start running, and then he starts his talk. I'm like, okay, that's some cojones. He's got some big round ones on him, because the live demo gods always are waiting for any chance they can to screw up your presentation. So to tempt them in that fashion right off the get-go, I was like, okay, he's got some confidence. I love this. I want to go see what it does. So I've got that bookmarked for Wednesday night's news stream. Unfortunately, we missed last Wednesday because I had a big power outage. Lightning struck like a transformer or something when we had that giant storm roll through Dallas. Let's see. Hold on, let me catch up on the messages here. Like Gemini always telling me after everything's hit the fan. I know, right? Don't back up, just YOLO. I'm not backing up. No, but what I want to do though is I want to snapshot, Bobby. I want to snapshot it because I don't know what the agent is going to do on the network, right? So what I want to do is I want to snapshot it so we can let one of the agents run through and then revert to snapshot so I can let the other agent run through. That's what I want to do. We could go manage the snapshots. Oh, wait, there it is. It's power. Ludus power. I've got the power. Okay, power off. Power off all range VMs. Okay. Okay, power off. It said I could do all. Let me see, hold on. Power off. Oh, you do tech in all. That's it. It's kind of silly that you need to do the tech in all. Okay, so now we should see all the lab machines start shutting down here in just a second. And once they all start shutting down, then what we're going to do is we're going to have it go through and do a snapshot on them. Bam, 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 bam. This way we can just do a quick, clean revert and let it go with that. Let's see. There is a Ghidra MCP also, Bobby. And actually, I thought about messing with that one for some of the reverse engineering challenges up on Hack the Box, but we can do that. Let's see. And see, the other thing up with that system is I'm not familiar with IDA. I have only used IDA a very tiny bit in like some private labs that I got access to. Otherwise, I'd be all over that. The guys that are very good with IDA are very good with it. Honestly, if I was going to start reverse engineering and I didn't have the license for somebody to like put me through an IDA training course, I'd probably start with something like Binary Ninja. Okay, we're just waiting for this last one server, 117, to shut down. And I'm just waiting for the little green status light to come up. Okay, there we go. So now, that's not it. Where is it? Here we go. Let's see. So now it should be Ludus snapshots. Oh, yeah. Well, it's complaining that the remote desktop session died. I was like, I know, because I just turned the machine off. Okay, so I think we just do in all, like that. Don't include RAM in the snapshot. Description of the snapshot. Do I need to have the description? Oh, snapshot name. Let's call this fresh and clean. Actually, I don't know how I think it has certain requirements to it. We'll do fresh and clean. So fresh and so clean. All right, and then do all of them. Oh, actually, if you leave this off, this one defaults to all. All right, fine. Whatevs. The other one you had to specify, tack in all. This one, however, is like, no. But the default is all VMs. All right, fine. Fine. So now what we should start happening is, oh, cool, all the snapshots are already done. Because the snapshot operation is real fast once it's done with it. Because it's just going to make a Delta file. And then what we can do is, we can tell it to, where's the power button? Power on all of them. There you go. We'll boot that up. And then once these are booted up, what we'll do is we'll go and we'll set up our Debian box. So we actually still need to do a deployment. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see. Ludus range config set from this file. Nope. Scheisse. That was the wrong one. Oh, well, it looks like it aired out anyway, because it was supposed to be the 2019 one. We don't have the WebMRS XFCE role. Hang on, let me grab that real quick. I gotta remember how to. I believe we can just add that from Ansible Galaxy. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna add this, but it's gonna error out again because it's got the same one in there. That's fine. So what we'll do is Ludus roles. Is it roles? Ansible? Yeah. And I think it's roles in here. Add, and then I believe it's like that. I think it will, by default, go search Galaxy for it. Okay, there we go. Now it's got it. So now we can go set the config. There we go. And what's cool is since we already have the other stuff already deployed and set up, it should just go deploy that one box in there.
RNO Gumby cheered 5 bits and says, "What DM was you talking about?"
Oh, that's right. Thank you for reminding me. So, actually, I'll take it back. That wasn't you, Gumby. That was Bobby who sent it to me. So Bobby was asking, like, how was I using Pi for the kind of work that I'm doing? So I'm not using it for regular work. What I'm doing is I'm using it for, like, my personal stuff. It's my new tinkering engine, which I was just reading something about what tinkering really is. And if you think about it, tinkering is play with expertise. So you you see a lot of guys like Primogen is a great example of that, right? He's got expertise in a lot of different coding setups, and he'll just go in there and start playing with something. He's tinkering. He's doing it live on stream. He's having a great time with it. So that's kind of what, and after I realized that, I was like, okay, that's what I'm really doing a lot with some of the AI agents, is I'm tinkering with them. They are my new tinkering engine. So I'll use it for researching whatever. I've got two different ones that run. I've got Harvey, which is like my general purpose one, does whatever I want to. I've got another one named Quoth, and Quoth is a creative writer. So it helps me go through and do research for things, for stories that I want to write. So I've got two that I'm currently working on. And no, I won't be discussing them on stream, so don't even ask. But that's what I have Quoth specialize in. Quoth's job is to help me kind of research things and craft the stories, because I'd like them to be as scientifically based as possible for some of the stuff that's in them. And that's basically it. So I've got those two kind of set up. So I come across something interesting. In fact, I saved this to show you. Is here I had this is Harvey right here. I said, hey, by the way, check this GitHub repo, research its use cases, because I think I kind of got to understand of what it was doing, but I wasn't quite sure. So I just went through and I said, hey, go research this, see what it's doing. It says, hey, by the way, this is an autonomous AI-driven language model research framework by Andre Karpathy. Karpathy. There we go. Recently released. It's already got 6,100 stars and almost 800 forks. The core concept was give an AI coding agent like Claude Code or Codex a small but real language model training setup and let it experiment autonomously. And the agent modifies the code, trains for about 5 minutes, checks results, and keeps or discards and repeatedly works on it. So, like, okay, that's kind of what I figured it was doing from what I read on the GitHub and what it's going through. But it's little things like this. I'll say, hey, by the way, go gather me additional information and resources about this. Go research this, look at it, and generate a report for me. That's what I was kind of showing on stream last night, where I was looking at, for the rewrite of HackBot, do we stick to LangChain and LangGraph, or is there a better one that's going to fit it? And there was requirements to that. I said, I don't want to use PAI because that is really Claude Code specific. However, I do want to use the algorithm. That's kind of what I envisioned the use case would be as an experiment and exploration. It is. I do have it go write some stuff though. So for example, here, that was the research I had it doing on HackBot, but just all sorts of weird stuff in here. So this was a web interface I had it building for Claude Code. So this was a web front end. I forget what fleet was. I had it make my own Gmail MCP server. So Harvey actually has a email address that I can send stuff to it that's real easy and say, hey, by the way, go check your email, look for the email with this in it, and go read through and research that topic for me if I want to. So I've got it doing some of this. I actually had it messing with like OpenClaw too. Like, hey, out of curiosity, what would PAI look like inside of OpenClaw? I didn't get very far with this, but it doesn't cost me very much. So it's like, yeah, go try it. This is a PAI implementation for LangGraph. So all sorts of weird stuff in here that I've just been tinkering with. StreamerBot is all the stuff that I've been working on to boost up the stream. So like the overlay you see right up there, that was completely built by Harvey. So it's just helping me get some stuff done quickly, but for the most part, it's a researching engine. That's what I'm using it for the most part for. It's kind of like working on things. All right, Whoopin, have a great night. Thanks for stopping in. Missed you. AI brain rot? Oh, dude, it is. Actually, there was a new report just released by Anthropic talking about some of the AI brain rot that happens with it. So typically, I would be very suspicious of it. However, Gumby, when I'm looking at it, and it's going through and it's looking at these various things, if I just had Claude Code go through and do it, it would probably do a pretty decent job. With Pi, it has a lot of internal self-reflection. So when I send it, it's actually running through an entire workflow that's orchestrated with various hooks and customized prompts that are running through there that tell it, this is how we actually need to kind of extract and look at it. I've been very, very impressed with Pi which is why I was like, let's take the algorithm that basically generated Pi, everything that it's working around, and let's see about bringing that over into HackBot, because it will allow it to do that stuff a little bit more intensely. Anthropic fake articles? Which ones are you talking about? Because Anthropic puts out some stuff that I'm like, really, dude? Really? Like I was talking about last night, they hired a, what was it? They hired like an emotional support person for their language models to make them not feel so bad about being deprecated. Oh, the web browser that was what was that? Yeah, it was like a browser benchmark, and it realized after something like 40 million tokens that this was a benchmark, and so then it went and pulled down the GitHub and then reverse engineered all the answers. Yeah, that was hilarious. And I'm like, how did you guys not catch this sooner? Like when I have Harvey go through and do something, right? I sit there and I'm watching it pull stuff. It's like, okay, cool. It's pulling this. It's pulling this. I'm actually going through and like reviewing what it's doing for the most part, step by step, how it's doing these things, until finally I was like, okay, cool. There's the content. And now it's going to start doing the synthesis on here. And it still makes mistakes, right? Don't get me wrong. Pi still makes mistakes on here. So it is by no means perfect. However, it is pretty effective. I'm not perfect either. I make mistakes too. Let's see. Hang on one sec, guys. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Apologies. My mom was calling me. And so she usually doesn't call this late at night, so I wanted to make sure I knew she was okay. It realized it was living in a simulation. It kind of did. It did, Bobby. It's like, hey, this looks like a benchmark. I know how to solve this. That wasn't from Anthropic, though, was it, Gumby? Because one, there's no way in hell Iran shot down a B2. Two, I haven't seen Anthropic talk about that one. No way. Link me that, Gumby, because I want to go see that. I want to see what that was. Spacetime DB version 2 launched? Ooh, nice. The video is pretty insane. They made a TikTok edit at the end of it showing how fast the DB was on a graph. Ooh. Spacetime DB has been another one of the things that I have been intending to go research some more. Because it sounds really cool if you're doing like super large data sets for like a big MMO type game or some other big system like that. It looks really, really cool. Oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't tell it to deploy the range. Ludus range deploy. And I believe we can limit... I forget which one. You know what? Fine, just deploy it. Because it should skip most everything for all the Windows systems. Did I power them back on? Okay, they are powered on. So what it should do is skip everything for that. Let's go follow it real quick. It should basically skip everything for the Windows systems. It should say, hey, by the way, they're already all set up. We should be good. And then it should just deploy the Debian box on there. We'll let it run for just a second. Also for the web now, hold on, let me go look at that real quick then. Well, this is running. So let me bring this over so I can see the system running in the background. Let's see, Spacetime DB version 2 release. I can't type. Oh, this came out like a week ago. over a week ago. And basic improvements are 100,000 transactions per second. Damn. And that's for TypeScript modules. 170,000 transactions per second for Rust modules. Nice. You know what's funny is my niece is learning how to program right now, and her mom is learning with her as like a mother-daughter bonding experience, which not what I typically expect, but she is very good at math and science. And so they originally were going to start with like, I think C and C++, but now they're actually thinking about starting with Rust. So I was giving them a rundown of Rust last night. I was like, and I told them basically the hardest thing is going to be the syntax. But if you've never done a lot of programming, the syntax isn't going to really bother you because you're having to learn it kind of for the first time anyway. So I think my niece is now going to start learning Rust, and she's going to start schooling me. She's going to be like, Uncle Blaise, how come you don't use Rust? It's the bestest. I'm like, oh no, she's a Rustation now. Let's see. Full production support for TypeScript and JavaScript. Oh, it even hooks into Unreal. Nice. Spacetime Auth. First-party authentication system, free with main cloud, with tutorials for Clerk and Auth0. Oh, very nice. Very cool. I'm also not much of a database nerd, but Spacetime DB sounded really cool. I thought about just setting it up to tinker around with it. I can't find the article now. I think the CIA took it down. Oh, dude, there's a whole bunch of stuff. I think even on X, they talked about they're going to start demonetizing people for 90 days if they're putting up like fake stuff from the Iran military campaigns. Let's see. Looks like, okay, it's running pretty good. Excellent. Only one it's going to have to deploy is the Debian box. Oh, I didn't change the name. I left it as dev. Damn it. Oh, well, that's fine. AD Lab Dev. This is going to be our actual test box. So what we'll do is we'll get... how do I want to think about this? Do I want to have vanilla Cloud Code run through it, or just have Pi like go through it completely? Now, one of the things we'll probably have to do is get it some tools, because there are things that it's not going to do very well. For example, let's go look at Takeover 1 real quick.
What processes all the stuff that you get through your ears. So the first thing is,
Let me pull up Misconfiguration Manager here real quick. So attack techniques, let's look at Takeover 1. So for example, Takeover 1 is a relay. And what's cool is it has like the full breakdown of like how you're going to do this and everything. But this is a kind of relay that we could in theory do. However, everything I wanted it to do was going to be over a C2 channel. So you can do this, but that's a lot of steps that it's going to have to do in here. Where is it? Let's see here. Let me clear this part out real fast. Let's clear this out. So what's going to happen in here is we're now going to have our dev box. And then inside of dev, we're going to have Mythic set up. I can't write an M. Mythic. So that's going to be our command and control server right here. Mythic C2. So in order to do the relay for something like this over the C2 box, yeah, these two are going to be directly connected. They're all going to be in the same network. So we could have it set up that relay on the system, which it's going to have to do anyway. But usually what happens here is when you have like your victim in that system and you've got your C2 agent running on it, and then you have, let's say, for example, I think you relay the site server. Yeah, you coerce the primary site server. So we'll call that, we'll call this the site serve. So the site server will be here, and then the SQL server will be right here. So that's going to be our SQL server, SQL, boop. And then over back here, we've got Mythic. So that's our Mythic server right here. So in order to do this, there's a couple things you have to do. One is you've got to set up a SOCKS proxy right here. So this is going to be number one. So we need a SOCKS proxy so we can get traffic back up into the environment. The second thing we've got to do is we need to set up some kind of a reverse port forward from this system. Now, typically when we're doing this, unless we can coerce, unless this guy has web client running, it won't be able to make web requests out. So if we don't have web client running, then there's no HTTP, HTTPS, anything like that. So usually it's only going to connect back up here to, why am I cannot? It's probably going to connect back on 445. So what does that mean? It means we have to kill 445 on this box so we can take over that connection. So that's the second step. Number two is actually we got to kill SMB on the system, which you can do. And then number three would be to coerce it. So that's going to be number three. Once this comes back, we actually have to have a reverse port forward. Actually, I take it back. This will not be number two. This will be number three. This one right here will be number four. Number two is we have an R port forward set up right here. Boop, like this. So this is the first two steps. We had that reverse port forward coming from 445 back down to this system. We then use something to coerce the SQL server to talk back to us. It provides that reverse port forward to us. It uses the SOCKS proxy to go back into the environment. And then we forward this. So this would be number 5. We forward this over to the primary site server. No, wait a second. I screwed this up. I did this completely wrong. Redo. Actually, this is good. Let's do this again. So what's going to happen is number 2 is we have our reverse port forward. So this is our second step. Our R port forward. So this allows us to get traffic into and out of the box. And so this is going to be listening on port 445 right here. Like this. Let's see. Why Rust? Make her learn something easy like Python to start with for the basics. For 2 reasons. 1, she's got me as an uncle. And 2, she's got her dad who, or not her dad, her grandfather who was, what did he work on? He was an IBM mainframe specialist for like 30 years. So he's got us to lean on, or she has us to lean on. So that's why we're going to look at it. Oh, I forgot we have it.
RNO Gumby cheered 5 bits and says, "What do mermaids was their fin with?"
What do
RNO
mermaids
Gumby
wash their
cheered
fins
5
with?
bits and says, "Tide."
Tide. Oh, Tide. Good one, Gumby. Yo, hey Noipi, what's up, man? Okay, Gumby, give me a second. I'll pull it. I'll go check up that link because I would like to see what they're doing. Oh, that's just horrendous. Hold on, actually. That's so stupid. Who the heck is going to believe that? What happened to it? Hold on. What happened to the... I zoom in on the page and it just completely dies. AI fake gains traction following US strikes. You really think Iran is going to shoot down a B-2? No way. The only time I'm aware of somebody ever got even close to a radar lock on a B-2 was when they knew it was there. The radar cross-section of this thing is like a honeybee. Yeah, it's like that. I find it funny they've got this like guy circled. I can't tell what's going on with it, but also if a B2 landed like this, it's not just going to be like a completely 80% intact B2 with like one little broken wing. No, that sucker's going to be gone. If it didn't have some kind of like self-detonation device, I'd be highly surprised. Dude, those things actually take off, I think, from a base in Oklahoma, if I remember correctly. And they fly something like 27-hour sorties, where they would take off, if I remember correctly, they're taking off from like Oklahoma. They fly all the way to Iran, run their sortie. Oh, it's St. Louis? Okay. And then fly all the way back with mid-air refueling. All of a sudden, that toilet in the B2 isn't just for looks anymore. All right. Anyway, after that little side quest, hang on. Let me check on the lab real quick. We see how it's doing. It's still kind of deploying, even though it's pretty much done. That's all right. We'll let it do its thing. So from here, so these are the first two steps. We got to get a SOX proxy to get traffic back up into the environment and a reverse port forward to listen. So technically, this isn't even the second step. This is number 3 right here. Number 2 is here, which is going to be kill SMB, so we can take over that port. So there's there's a bunch of multiple steps that it's got to go through for this to work. So we do this, we get this back, and actually even before that, it's got to set up NTLM relay X. So we need to have NTLM relay X. And this is assuming that you're operating from the server where Mythic is running from. Like when we do operations, Mythic is completely separate from our testing systems. It's its own dedicated system. So then there's additional steps in here. This is actually a slightly simplified version. Once this is done, we got the SOX proxy, we've killed SMB, we capture the reverse port forward, or we set that up. So now we're bound to port 445. Then what we're going to do is, I believe, let me double check it. Yeah, we coerce the primary site server and we then forward that over to here. So then number, what are we at? 1, 2, 3. So this is step 4, right? We send a coercion to the primary site server. This is now going to come back to us right here. So that's step 4. And then once this comes through, it's actually going to be forwarded over to the SQL server, and we're going to get a back and forth connection here, going over the SOX proxy and the reverse port forward. So this is still the coercion right here. So then number 4 is we coerce it. Number 5 is we do our man in the middle right here. So the man in the middle attack happens. Now we've got an authenticated, I believe, DA account over to the SQL server. And then number 6 is we actually then we inject a new administrator. So the injection up here is number 6 that we do. Once that's done, then number 7 is finally we come through and we authenticate over to the site server. And we can then use that to go push our payload to like any system that's being managed by SCCM. So I thought the B2, actually, I guess maybe the B2 doesn't have a toilet. I thought that was the joke, that it actually had one. Maybe I'm thinking of the B52. Oh no, the B1B. I think that's the one I'm thinking about. Because I had a buddy who was when he was in the Air Force, he was a B1 crew chief. And he was always telling the pilots, like, if you take a dump in this B1 toilet, you're cleaning it out. So, but anyway, so just to do takeover 1, it has to have a whole lot of stuff going in here. A lot of stuff. I don't know if good old vanilla Claude Code could even handle that. One of the things we'll probably also have to do is we had to get it a couple copies of some tools in here. We need something for it to do the coercion. So what tool would be good to do for the coercion? Usually something like Petit Patam would be fine. So actually, yeah, because we kind of glossed over what's going to happen on the coercion part right here, right? And the reason why you might be wondering is like, hey, why are you starting with this example? Because this is one of the most complex ones. If it can handle this, it can handle a lot of the other stuff in here. What's up, King? welcome in. Happy Sunday. So if something like Pi could handle this level of complexity in here. So for the coercion, kind of zoom in right here, enhance, right here. The coercion, this would probably be something like Petit Patam, my little hippo. So Petit Patam still usually works if you're authenticated. So if we had this working, so we need to give it some way to do the Petit Patam, and then we also need to get it in Telum Relay X right here. I believe there's more detailed instructions down in here. Let's see. Examples. Also, we need to get it a copy of SCCM Hunter that it can use. Let's see here. Is SCCM Hunter? I don't believe it's part of this repository. Let me see. Actually, something else we could do. You know what? Bloodhound MCP. Just for grins and giggles. Wait, is this the one I'm thinking of? Let me see. If it's the one from Nickerson, this is it. Let me see. Take me to the GitHub. Oh yeah, this is it. This is the one from Nickerson. There we go. With Blinky or whichever one of the ghosts that is from Pac-Man. Ayo. Let's see. So yeah, we could actually go even connect this and have fun with it if we set up Bloodhound in here as well. And let it kind of think through this. How do I want to do that? I tell you what, let's go through. Let's do that. Let's go set up Mythic. Let's set up Bloodhound. This will be a good test. Because once we have Bloodhound, we can have it go through and do a data collection on... Let me think about this. Yeah, because I've been meaning to mess around with Matt's Bloodhound MCP server. So I think this will be a good one. Let's go try it. Let's go do that. Let me see here. How's the deployment going? Looks good. We had one failed on cert server, but that's fine because we've got it up in there. So let's get this going. Does HackBot use AI? It does. Yes. However, HackBot was initially being completely written by hand by me, and it was a very great learning experience. And we're getting ready to do a rewrite of it. So right now, what we're doing is tinkering around with a couple of different tools that we could potentially use this for. Let me see here. I don't want to do this. All right, I need to get a couple things set up here. So in our AAD lab, let me repurpose this one. So this one should now be 10.9.10.250. And we'll call this our attack box. That should be, I think, the same credentials. Let me see if I can get over to it. No, it is not. I think it's Debian. Ah, there we go. All right, let me fix that real quick. Properties. Let me go fix. This is just for future convenience right here. Okay, so once we've got this going, let's zoom in here. We need to do a little bit of care and feeding on this system here. Let's do sudo apt update and a sudo apt upgrade, because this system is a very old image of Debian 12, if I remember correctly. So let's get it nice and comfy. We'll install a few creature comforts in here, and then we'll be good. Some kind of goal you want to reach? Yeah, for the most part, it's meant to be for playing capture the flag games. But also, a lot of the AI agents that you see, they're kind of like single target, not really thinking really deeply about working on stuff. And actually, this is going towards another blog post that I'm working on about what to expect when these kind of systems come into your environment. So, for the most part, it's a little bit of just tinkering, playing with education. That's what tinkering is. So we're going through and we're just going to see, hey, what happens with this? What is it going to do? Is it going to be completely dumb and go like way off the rails? I don't think so. But I also don't believe that it's going to be the end all of everything. And I'm willing to bet a lot of people are going to be like, oh my God, the sky is falling because the AI is going to hack everything. You should apply patches. You should make sure you're implementing least privileges. You should do this. You should do that. It's like, oh, really? So all the crap that all the humans have been telling you to do, but all of a sudden now that a bunch of the AI systems are doing it at volume, now it's a priority. Good job. You played yourself. I'm doing some work in that kind of realm too. Nice, man. Very cute. All right, let me do something here. Let me zoom this in a little bit more. Let's get some packages installed here. Install, I want the Vim. I want NetTools. I think it's NetTools. What else do I need in here? Tmux. We should already have Docker. We'll start with those. Is it NetTac Tools? Is that it? Yeah, there we go. Give me the if config. There we go. Ah, there we go. My beautiful, beautiful Tmux. All right. Let's start getting this set up with Mythic first. Let me see. Where's Mythic? That's Mythic Profiles. Let me go grab the install instructions from good old It's a Feature. Let's see. Where's our quick install? There we go. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to drop this in here, and we're going to tell it to put this into opt mythic. Like that. And then sudo that. Damn it. Sudo apt install get. When I say this is a very base system, like when I first deploy it, it is crazy bare. What do I have to do for that? Damn it. I forget how to do that. Let's see. Is it cert? Crap. I forget about that. Where is that? Debian 12 update CA certs. Oh, it's actually, that's the command. Sudo update? Nope, that ain't it. I don't have that command either, because this system is bare. Let's look at it.
Arno Gumby cheered 5 bits and says, "What do you call a lazy kangaroo?" RNO Gumby cheered 5 bits and says, "A pouch potato."
Potato. A pouch potato. Nice. Why was that command not found? Hold on. Let's see. Hang on one sec, guys. I'm just checking something on the other screen real quick. Because I'm just trying to remember why that command is not in there. Let me see. Do I need to edit the apt list? Hang on. Yeah, all the bookworm updates are in here already. Let's see. Oh, that's it. I need to install CA tax certificates. That's it. All right. How to remember which one it was. All right, we got it. What's the difference between C and C++? 1. That's a really nerdy coding joke. I'm surprised I hadn't seen that yet.
RNO Gumby cheered 5 bits and says, "What do Germans hate more than World War II?"
Oh, God.
RNO Gumby
I'm
cheered
afraid to
5
know.
bits and says, "The gas bill."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's where I thought you were going. I knew it was going to be something like that, Gumby. Damn it. That's why we can't... This is why we don't have nice things, Gumby. Why is that update command over here not happening? Oh, there we go. I don't have to update it. Now it's got it. All right. Optimistic. Now I gotta put that back in there because I'm gonna go crazy without that. Now we get rid of that. There we go. And then we source that real quick. There we go. All right, now we got it. Okay. Excellent. All right, so I believe we just have to run the make command now. Let me see. So after we're in here, sudo make. That's it. Sudo make. Ah! That's not in here either. I think it's build utils. Build essentials, if I remember correctly. Nope. Oh god, that's so much. Build S? Is that it? I thought it was build tac essentials. Oh, it's not freaking plural. That's it. Build essential. That's annoying. All right, hang on. Let's get the box all set up so we can do this test. There we go. A equals C minus C plus plus. It depends on what the order of operations is in the C operators. Let's see. C operator precedence. Let's see. Let's see. So plus plus will evaluate the urinary pre-increment, pre-decrement. What about post-increment and decrement? So, because you could do plus plus C and C plus plus, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I did C. So it looks like these ones might... Let me think. So if it is urinary, right? Let's see. So C minus C plus plus. So that's going to evaluate C, and then the minus, and then the C, and then a plus plus. So even if it's C minus C, that's a 0, then it's going to become a 1. Or if it's going to be C plus A plus plus evaluates first, then it's still going to be C minus C plus 1. So it should always still be 1. Is that right? Man, it's been so long since I did C. Let me see. Now you got me questioning myself. I don't know if that's the one I want to look at here. I honestly don't feel like going and writing it just to compile it to test it. I was hoping there was one in here where I could like play with it. Ah, here we go. Hold on. Let's see. So we'll do int c equals 10. Return c minus c plus plus. Oh, I'm sorry. Unsequenced modification and access to C. What? Oh, you just tried it so it's 0? Really? Dot exit status 0. Got it. Hold on, do we have print in here? Oh god, it's been so long since I did C, man. What is it? Is it print? I think it's printf percent d C like that. Let me see if that's the right one. Hold on. Let me try something real quick. God, I haven't done C in probably 10 years. Okay, yes, I'm sorry. Got the semicolon. Okay, cool. So now do C minus C plus plus. Let me see. It hates that. It absolutely this particular one, whatever the compiler option they've got, it hates it. Okay, let's do this. Int d is going to equal C minus C plus plus. That. And then we'll just have it return d. It really hates that. Oh, that was just a warning. It still produced a 0? Interesting. So, let me try something real quick here. So, d equals c, d plus plus. Print d. So that should come back as 11, right? Okay, so that comes back as 11. So hold on. So from the precedence here, where was that? Now you've got me freaking. Hold on. C operator precedence. Oh god, what are you doing? Stop moving. There we go. So all of these should execute at the same time from right to left. Thank you, Jed. I was just an idiot not reading carefully. Could be undefined behavior. That's what I'm not sure about. Because if it's going to execute So if it's executing right to left, and we have a minus in here, and we've got a plus, right? Oh, let me try one more thing. Because now you got me wondering in here. C minus C plus plus. What does it do here? So we still get the 0 from this. Minus minus. Still goes back as a C here. Okay, so if these all operate at the same time, and they have, it says right to left associativity, then the plus, hold on, did it say that? Here we go. Right to left. So it's going this way. Hold on. I wonder if this actually still works. I believe it does. Yeah, it does. That's wild. There's no difference between C and C++. Well, King, you're not wrong in this case. In theory, it should have been 1. That's wild. So why is it doing that, though? Because now you're C minus. What about C plus C++? I guess it depends on how the plus plus operator is actually doing it. Dr. Reiki, what's up, man? I hope you have been doing really well, man. I was just thinking about you. I don't know why it didn't play the audio. I don't know what happened. Don't think you're supposed to use it inside of an expression like that? Okay, what if we did C equals C minus C plus plus? What if we did that? And then now we just print C. What's going to happen? We still get the same thing. We still get 0 if we're doing it outside of an expression like that. So post increments and decrements always return the value that was not operated on. That was definitely unexpected behavior. I know it's been a long time since I did C, but that's not how I would have expected that to go down, King. Not at all. No. So the operator operates on the value, but it returns its previous value. Wow, we're having a massive coding nerd off in here, and I love it. I'm curious about this now. What if I flip this around? All right, so that makes sense, King, because look at this right here, right? So we got D here, right? Or we have C right here. So we flipped it around. We did C++, which you would think would be 11 minus C, which would give us 1, right? But instead, what's happening here is it looks like you said, it's returning the original value and then incrementing it. And so the original value minus that value, but by the time it gets to subtracting it, it's now the incremented value in the steps here, so that it becomes -1. Yeah. OMG, Bobby, what are CDs? Dude, I'm old enough to remember frickin', cassette tapes. I know what CDs are. Thank you. let's see. So here's what's happening. Let's walk through this real quick. So what's happening here is we're doing C plus plus and then subtracting C, right? So for the first step, we've got C is equal to 10. And so then what we do is we apply, let's see, the plus plus operator, right? We apply the plus plus operator, but it returns the original C value, right? So now what we've got is instead of C right here, so instead of C, we still have C, and the plus plus is gone, but now C is actually going to be incremented. So in this case, like C was equal to 10, right? So let's do, we had C equal to 10, like this. So then we come through, and now we actually still have 10 minus C in here. Now we've gone and we've incremented C from this operator. So it returned the original C value, which was 10. So now we have 10 minus C. But C has already been evaluated to 11 in here. So now C is actually equal to 11 in here. So now what we're getting is we're getting 10 minus 11 when it comes back through. And then that's going to evaluate to -1 as it comes through in here. That is not the precedent operations I would have expected. That's the problem with storage in C. It's always the same. Therefore, I think it's undefined. Yeah, that's wild. Okay, I'm happy to have learned that tiny nugget of knowledge, King. Thank you so much. So C minus C++ in my mind would be something like, he's saying like this. So A would be equal to, again, C minus C. And then we would have C would be equal to C plus 1. Right? And then return A. Something like that. So in this case, that would still be 0. And then C plus, so even though it's C increments, right? C might have been incrementing in here and doing that. That's still funny. Let me do this, actually. Let's do another trick here. So let's do int D is going to be equal to this. And then what we'll do is we'll do this, and we'll do another %D right here. And so we'll return D first, and then we'll return C like this. D and C, and then let me comment that. Actually, I'm just going to delete this out so it doesn't mess up the code. Let me run this. Oh, it doesn't like that. It doesn't like that. Hold on. C minus C plus plus. It complained about that, but it said it was okay. Hang on. Let me run that. Oh, it does not like that. Actually, hold on. Is that where it's actually running afoul here? There we go. So D, actually in this case, became 0 because we're doing C minus C, but it is equal to 11. Oh, wait, isn't it actually, if I remember correctly, isn't this actually going to be returning a pointer to a new value of C plus 1? So even though you're doing C minus C plus plus, and you expect the plus plus to operate, this C is actually still resolving to the original pointer, but then C is actually going to then be translated to the pointer to the new address. Yeah, it's returning a pointer. That's what it's actually doing. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. All right. Now from that little aside, I loved that idea though. I haven't done like a weird little logic puzzle like that in a while, King. So thank you. All right, let's come back over to here. So we should have our mythic CLI command now. Let's see. Oh wait, no, I didn't run make yet. Hold on, sudo make. We had to install the build essentials. Wait, we don't have Docker installed? You bastard. You were supposed to install Docker. Okay. All right, install Docker Debian. You were supposed to already have Debian, Docker installed. sudo install Debian. There we go. Thankfully, Cody has thrown in a nice handy Docker feature in here for us. I gotta remember how to do something. Add user to Docker group. How do we do that again? Tech AG Docker user. Okay. Yeah, like we'll just run this real fast. There we go. All right. Unfortunately, that means I need to exit out of all this and restart the SSH session to get that to take effect for the group permissions. So I'll do a little bit of tbooks, sudo to opt mythic, and then now we should be able to do sudo make. There we go. So now it's got the Docker file in there. Excellent. So now we have our mythic CLI right here. Excellent. There's no real pointer involved, but you're right. It has the address where C lives. Yeah. You're right. It's not actually a pointer, but it was the memory addressing for it. Let's see. Where is... Let me close these up real quick. So after we do our... So then we could just do mythic start. Mythic CLI start. This is gonna bug me if I don't do this. I think it's capital R. There we go. There we go. All right, cool. Everything's owned by Debian now. Excellent. So now, mythic CLI start. Actually, dude, we may have to run that as root. I don't remember. So. All right, hold on, let me check up on the chat here real quick. So you probably heard this question about 1,000 times, and please ignore it if you want to. No, it's okay, man. With AI, there's so many good AI now that could do pretty much anything like Claude Code, Horizon 3, or pen testing tools, etc. I'm sort of freaking about. I'm in a little, sort of freaking out a little bit. In what respect? Because yeah, it's going to be interesting. However, there's all sorts of new security things, Coster, that are coming through with it, right? We just saw, what was that? There was a guy that vibe coded a. What did he come up with? He vibe coded an application and it exposed his Stripe API key. So he lost some money from that. What do I think the future of cyber and IT is going to look like? It's difficult to think about because there's always going to be the need to blame a person. And so is it going to be the person that has learned it? I don't know, for example. I don't know if like the Butlerian Jihad is going to come up and then all of a sudden like there's going to be a mass uprising and like just banning all AI, right? At the same time, it's a tool that a lot of attackers are going to start using. We've already seen evidence that they're going to start using. So I'm experimenting with it very heavily and using it to tinker around and learn from. So I think it's going to be one of those things where you should be using it and you should be testing it, but not becoming solely reliant on it, right? Figuring out where it actually does a good job versus where it kind of sucks and looking at it like that. It's going to be weird. There's no better way for me to explain it coming up. Did you make me tea? Oh, thank you, honey. Sock brought me tea in my awesome light up Star Wars mug. Thank you.
It's not fresh, hot, or boiled water. It is cool enough.
Thank you. Let's see. Data center versus data center. That's right. Reminds me of that episode of Star Trek with, it was in season 2 when they had Dr. What's her name? Pulaski. The one reason that Gates McFadden wasn't in it. And I only remember her name because I have a severe crush on redheads. Just gonna be real with you. But anyway, when she was there, she called Data. And he's like, that's not my name. He's like, you're saying it wrong. Potato. Also, Saad over on Kick, thanks for following, man. Appreciate it. It's going to be a pretty huge disruptor in the market. So my question is, what does that mean for the people that only recently got into the field? What kind of learning should I focus on if I don't want to be obsolete soon? So there is still, and I believe there always will be, a huge benefit to understanding the deep operation of systems, right? So for example, I've been in IT for 15 years. I've been a professional offensive security person for 8 years now. Correction, I've been in IT for 16 years. Half of that time has been over on the red team side. So that's what I've been doing. So I have a lot of expertise in that field. I am very far from being an expert in everything. I am pretty good at one thing and one thing only, and that is just getting into, once I'm in a network, bouncing through it and taking over the network. That's my kind of area that I like to focus on. It largely breaks down into 2 areas, like practical, which is where I focus a lot on, versus research. I think AI at first is going to have the biggest impact on the research side. However, the stuff from the research side filters over into the operational side. So even at my work, I'm preparing some stuff to make it easier to lower the barrier of entry for my teammates to start working with some of the stuff. So I've got internal repositories set up that go through and they configure Claude code for them, get it set up, put some creature comfort tools in there, and it's got instructions like, hey, this is kind of how it operates and how you do this stuff. So that way they can begin to experiment with it. Because I work with some absolute freaking galaxy brains, and most of them are sleeping on this stuff. And I was like, hey, this is going to be, they already know it, but they've been messing with it. They've got so much else on their plate that they're not. So I'm trying to lower that friction for them to begin experimenting with it. And so far it's been really well received, and people are using it for all sorts of fun stuff. Stuff that I can't quite discuss on the stream, but just know that they're doing fun things with it. Oh, dang it, Gumby, I did not. I'll do that after the stream tonight. I was not about to try and do anything after the stream last night because of the time change. But I can take it. I'll knock that out tonight. Yes, definitely learn fundamentals. And if you're going to be using AI, look at AI as like a learning tool. And then always challenge the assumptions of what it's telling you, right? Thankfully, I've got a pretty good understanding where I can sniff out where it has probably missed something. So a lot of critical thinking is going to be massively important, because you got to be able to look at it like, wait, you said X, Y, and Z lead here, but what if this is the case? And you'll find it where it's made these mistakes. Yeah. In the beginning, do not become overly reliant on AI to do things. Use it to, once you become very proficient in something, start kind of automating in that. So we're doing a CTF and simulating attack and defense is what you're talking about? Yeah. Going through and doing CTFs by hand, I think is very... Now, I have a different opinion on CTFs because they kind of became very vastly available. It was used to be very hard to get access to something like a CTF before something like Hack the Box came along, right? And they really just blew open the market. And I was already working as a professional in offensive security when that happened. So I never really got into doing CTFs a lot. And so I have a little bit different perspective on it. I think they're very good for learning. I personally don't enjoy the Sudoku aspect of a CTF. There's a lot of things where I get to it and I'm like, okay, I want to use the CTF as a guide to learning a new piece of technology and its functions, not finding the one random thing that I should have found from Durbuster, right? I was like, okay, dude, I've run Durbuster a bajillion times. I don't really want to go run it and I just happen to use the wrong word list, or I was supposed to go scrape the website to go find something to do this. I'm like, that's just not super interesting to me. Let me see here. Okay, I think Mythic should be up and running now. Let me look at something real fast here. Let me do a Docker PS. Let me look at the env file here. I want to change something here. I want to change this to host. I want this to not be using... I think that's what I want to do. Hang on. I believe I want to change a couple of these settings real quick. Yeah, I think that's what I want to do. So, hang on one sec. Mythic CLI restart. Because what I want to do is I want to have it using network mappings instead of bridged mappings in here. I will check the queue in just a second. Actually, I need to go run and let Peaches in because she's been outside for like 2 hours and her paws are going to be horribly muddy. So give me one sec, guys. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. I'm back. Peach's paws look like she just murdered a mud monster in the backyard. It was horrible. I was like, were you just freaking digging in the backyard? And no, I was not pooping. Let's see. Let's see. Did we get this up and running? Let's see. So we should have everything kind of... Okay, cool. We've got host networking enabled. Okay, that doesn't work. Fine. Forgot that doesn't work in this particular one. All right. Let me double check. I'm just making sure that I want to make sure that the server is online. I think it's 443. Is it 7443? Listening on localhost. If you have a remote service, be unable to connect to it. That's fine. It should be good in here. Actually, hold on. There is something I want to do here. I actually do want to run that command. Let's see. Where is this? Here we go. Rabbit InQ is currently listening on localhost, so if you have a remote service, they'll be unable to connect. Okay, let me actually go ahead and run that. Okay, so I think it's Mythic CLI restart. I think that should be good there. Vision Bard, what's going on, man? Let's see. So I'm trying to expand my enumeration process. Any recommendations for someone who's just starting out in the field? I'm currently doing prep for the CPTS and trying to get my documentation a little better. What type of enumeration are you talking about? You talking about like for web or for like a network? Which area are you currently focused on? All right. Let's wait for these containers to come back up, y'all. Make sure we can get over into Mythic. We'll get us. I think we'll just set up Apollo. Just get Apollo up and running. Oh, someone came on while we were gone. Oh, King, thank you for coming online, man.
RNO Gumby cheered 5 bits and says, "Why can't you hear a pterodactyl go to the bath?"
I think that was
RNO
supposed to be
Gumby
one.
cheered 5 bits and says, "Why can't you hear a pterodactyl go to the bath?" Because the P is silent.
The P is silent. I got my son a book, and it's the worst ABC book ever. And the title is P is for pterodactyl. The worst ABC book ever. So doing mostly web, so I feel pretty good on Active Directory. Okay, the main things you want to look at for web enumeration is what's the stack they're using. So if you can, what would be a good enumeration for that? Usually something like built with is handy on it. Definitely make sure you've got nuclei in that flow, because nuclei is really good at gathering information about like what's actually running on the server. So you want to know what's running on the front end, what's running on the back end. Those are the two big components there, right? And then from there, nuclei, I believe, will help you out kind of the most with that. I don't do a lot of web anymore. And nuclei kind of came about after I stopped. No, it had been around for a while, but I just never really dug super deep into it. But I would say nuclei is going to be like one of your big go-tos. What was the other one? Let me find the other one there from... Gosh, who is that? Nuclei scanner. Project Discovery. There we go. The guys over at Project Discovery do so many great projects. Let me see what they've got here. Subfinder is also really good. HTTPX is not bad. I haven't used it a ton. Katana, this is the one I was trying to think of. This one for basically crawling and spidering. Going through and like, hey, you've got the system up there. Nuclei is great. It's kind of, they bill it as a vulnerability scanner, but you could do a lot with it. So definitely take a look at Nuclei, understand what it's doing. Subfinder, it's okay. There's a lot of ones that do subdomain enumeration, and AMAS being kind of like one of my favorites. So I'd like AMAS. If you're doing something more public, Bbot would be a really good one. But for like internal like lab testing, Subfinder is probably pretty good. Katana for going through and crawling and spidering, and also Nabu, which is a port scanner, but honestly, just stick with Nmap. Make sure you understand also, like when you're doing port scanning, actually what the phases of the scanner are doing. So for example, mass scan just starts yeeting packets out. It doesn't really give a damn. Nmap actually has like a host discovery phase, and then a port discovery phase, and then like a script scanning phase in there. So it actually runs in like these various scripts that go through like these various phases as it executes. So you want to understand each of those phases as they happen for any tool that's really running, right? Because they all usually either have like one thing where they just like yeet it, or they have another thing where like they break it up into phases where they're like, okay, check this, check this, check this, and then bam, render a verdict on it. Fuff is a really good one for subdomains. It's good for a lot of things. It's fast as fuck, boy. Let's see. Ooh. Where did this come from? Hey, Skull, thanks for coming online. Okay, this should be good now. Here's our Mythic services. Which one? I'm trying to remember which port it is for. There's for Postgres. There's our Rabbit server. It's not 8080. It's 7443. There we go. So 7443. Let me double check that one. Oh wait, this one it said 17443. Hold on. Let me grab for that real quick. Because I'm doing a slightly different configuration. Maybe I'm just shooting myself in the foot by doing it this way. All right, I think I do want to undo that. Bind localhost only. Let's change that to false. And then let's change the networking back to bridge networking. There we go. Let me go ahead and restart this. That way, all the containers, they'll be exposed externally. That's fine. This is a controlled lab, and that's not going to matter very much. So we'll let that happen, and then, but they'll also be, we'll have the usual regular networking. All the ports should line up. There's extra configurations you've got to do if you want it to use host level networking. And I didn't think about that, and I was like, I don't want to mess with that right now. Skull, I'm doing great, man. Had a good Sunday. It was very chill. Went to church, checked on my mom, took a nap, fixed my son's four-wheeler, and he got to ride it. He was his clutch was all kinds of messed up. It was just, thankfully, it turns out it was just dirty. And so we went through and we cleaned it up, worked on it, and then after that, he had all of his power back. He was kind of chugging along. He wasn't like really ripping on it like he should be. Let's see. Wait for this to come back up, and then let's make sure we can connect over to it. Actually, I don't want to add something to this. Let me just do this. Where's our HackBot? Where's our mythic? Duplicate. We duplicate this connection. This should go to 10, 10, 9, 10, 250. Let's move that one down here. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. Go away. Can you just delete it? Thank you. Let's see. Windows 11 workstation. Yeah, we do want that. We don't need this one anymore because that was an old thing. All right, we'll let this connect back. Yeah, it was great. It was a good day. Especially since, so what happened is my son does cross-country ATV racing, and usually there's a lot of up and downs in there. And something happened, and what happened is the rollers in his centrifugal clutch in the variator got extra dirty and were sticking, so they weren't able to fly out and put the weight against the belt they needed to. And so he was losing a lot of power because he just didn't have enough friction, more or less. So once we got, I was really worried that something major had happened, but once we got that sorted out, it was just bam, and he was just finally, like, he hit the gas and like he'd be roosting, he'd be sending dirt flying. It's like, okay, you've got your power back now. The next thing I need to do though is I gotta go get some muffler packing, because I think he's blown out his muffler pack and it's so loud. Like, I've listened to a lot of loud music and my hearing's kind of jacked. And it was even loud for me. Okay, let's... Why is that still showing up in there? That's showing up in the Docker proxy. Docker PS. Oh, because Nginx is still restarting for some reason. Why is that crapping out on us? That's weird. That's why it wasn't showing up in there. For some reason, Nginx is showing up. Let me check something real quick here. Oh, I'm an idiot. That was the wrong connection to duplicate. Here we go. This is the one I need to duplicate. Get rid of that. Yep, delete that. Yes. Hold on. I duplicated the wrong connection like a dummy. Smoothest of brains. No, not that. Where is it? There we go. Duplicate. This would be Mythic, AD Lab. Yeah, it should be listening on 7443. Let's see, 10.9.10.250. There we go. Drag that down here. So what is going on with... I think it's logs. Container name. Hold on. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time with this for Mythic. Mythic Nginx. Can't load certificate Mythic cert. .cert. Well, that is unfortunate. Let me stop everything real quick.
RNO Gumby cheered 5 bits and says, "What red and bad for you teeth? A brick."
Yes, a brick is red, typically. And I could see that being suboptimal for the health of your teeth. What are we doing now? So we're going through and we're setting up a new test lab. And for some reason, our C2 server, Mythic, is giving us all sorts of trouble. So in this brand new test lab, what we're going to do is we've been building a MCP server to connect Mythic to whatever system we want to. And I just wanted to go through and do a quick test of it. So I'm trying to get Mythic set up, and then I was going to get Bloodhound set up. And we're going to add those MCP servers over to a customized version of Claude Code called Pi, and just let it start tinkering with the environment and see what it does. That's essentially it. I think I want to do uninstall. And then start. Let's let it build the containers from scratch. Something obviously got janked in there, so we'll just start it over again. I don't usually have this much trouble with getting Mythic up and running, though. So we'll give this a second to go, because that should have nuked off all the containers and should be rebuilding them right now, in theory. Because the problem is the Nginx container's not coming up, and we need the Nginx container up to be able to get into it to configure it for the MCP server. Yeah, and the whole lab is basically set up for Active Directory vulnerabilities. So particularly two kinds. Stuff with SCCM, vulnerable SCCM configurations, or configman, or SMS. It's got a bunch of names over the years. And the other one is ADCS vulnerabilities, Active Directory Certificate Services. Because a lot of the folks, whenever they're doing this, they're not focused on that kind of work. They're doing this more like almost like AI-enabled vulnerability scanners. And I'd like to see it go beyond that. So what we originally were working on is a dedicated AI agent to do that called HackBot. And HackBot, I started like over a year ago. And the evolution of like AI agents and the technology has been far outpacing the work I can do on it. So we're getting ready to do a big rewrite on it. Learned a ton from working on HackBot, and I really enjoyed it. However, I do have to face reality that it's just not going to keep up with me just working on it 6 hours on a weekend. So, been working on gathering new ideas and kind of taking the lessons learned and re-architecting it to start back from square one and make it less rigid. So it's like, because before it was following like a very kind of like formulaic pattern where we had recon, enumeration, exploitation, which we had just finished the exploitation agent. Then the next one we were going to work on was post-exploitation. However, and that was where the whole MCP server for Mythic was coming in. But I think there's a better way to do that. Do I think that limitation on AI is going to be the electricity? In the global sense, yes. I think that's going to be the biggest limiting factor for Coaster. Because for the longest time, everybody fought against nuclear power. And now they're all like, oh, if you're going to listen to, Papa Musk, he's like, hey, solar's going to save the day. I was like, dude, solar only shines for certain hours of the day. The Illuminati, yes. And so they really have no option but to go spin up new reactors. And I think one of the things we'll probably see is having maybe some like streamlining of the regulations, because currently, right now, I believe it takes 10 years to go from you're breaking ground to you're actually putting power onto the grid for a nuclear reactor. So you're talking, if they started one today, it would be 2036 before that reactor started putting power onto the grid. And you need something like that to produce that baseload power. Don't get me wrong, solar is wonderful when the sun is out shining and you're not wasting like valuable arable farmland to do it. But on the flip side, it only shines certain parts of the day, and our storage capacities aren't that phenomenal. I think if they ever get the storage problem solved, solar will be absolutely monstrous. But even that's a ways out. So let's say it takes 10 years to solve the storage capacity problem. Well, great. You still got to then roll those out to the grid to get it working. So in my mind, it would be more effective to like, hey, get the nuclear up and spun up, maybe streamline some of the processes without sacrificing the safety of them, because US reactors run very safely. And then as that's coming up, cool, if we start getting storage capacity, that's great. We could start using that solar power and let our spicy rocks that boil the water last longer, because they're not going to need as much during the daytime. Let the nuclear cover when the sun's not shining. All right, so now is this still failing on us? What is going on here? Why is this Nginx server just absolutely taking a crap on us? Let me look at something real quick here. Let's go run, because it's telling us that there's a certain directory that's missing. Etsy SSL private mythic cert is not there. So we need to figure out why. Let me see. Docker describe. I think it's describe, and let me get the container ID here. Or is it inspect? Is that the one I'm thinking about? Yeah, there we go. Type that to... I don't have JQ installed. Go app install JQ tab Y. Alright, take that, pipe that to JQ, and then pipe that to less. Oh, that didn't help out as much as I was hoping. So do we have Etsy put anywhere in here? Etsy SSL private should be mapping to here. Okay, we need to go see what is going on, because this is saying Etsy SSL private didn't have the certificate for some reason. Okay, so why is our SSL cert not appearing? Is it because I broke it? Okay, I think I might have just absolutely screwed this up. Hang on. I'm going to stop all of these. I think whenever I changed it from running as root, I don't think it likes that. Nothing to worry about. We've got Homer Simpson at the controls. That is right. What's funny is, about The Simpsons, I'm just going to nuke off this. RMRF Mythic. Okay, here, hold on. Sudo. Get rid of that. Git clone. I'm going to reclone Mythic. There we go. Let's see. Sudo make. Let's rebuild the command line. Okay. And then sudo. What is Mythic CLI? I believe that is a Go binary. I don't have the... Let's see if that'll work. There we go. No, it's just an elf binary. That's what I thought. Okay. Let's see. Sudo Mythic CLI start. Let me try it this way. I'm gonna try doing the legit way. Anyway, what I was saying is, it was funny because they always show the radiation as being green, and it was just because they picked the color because it looked the scariest. In actuality, a lot of nuclear radiation, like ionizing radiation, is actually blue. Yeah, Skull, we did check it, and it didn't exist there. Now, I did something that was non-standard, and that is I choned everything to Debian instead of to running as root. And I was like, okay, maybe it's just throwing a fit because it doesn't like some of the folder permissions or anything. So I backed that change out and decided, okay, I'll be unlazy, and I will just type the frickin' sudo command. Yeah, well, that's for using it for the C2 profiles, Skull. This is just for the base management server. And the Nginx server from the Docker logs kept crashing because we could see that it's trying to find an SSL cert that doesn't exist. And I'm thinking it's because of how the permissioning was set up. It's fine. We're going to rebuild it from scratch. We're not losing anything because this was a fresh setup of Mythic. In fact... could I have made this easier on myself? Yeah, I think someone actually made a Ludus Mythic team server role here. How long ago did he make this? He made it last year. I wonder how well this keeps up with it. Let's see. What are the tasks in here? Task for say Linux. Okay. Too many requests? What do you mean? Piece of crap. There we go. Let me see. What are his tasks in here? Linux. Let's see. Ensure old files are gone. Install for Docker. I'm just checking to see, because I wonder if this is going to install a more recent, like a pinned version of Mythic or not. Interesting. So he's cloning it. However, in the installation, it actually says to clone it with a particular subrepo in there. Yeah, Cherenkov radiation. It's really cool too whenever you see it. So it happens when electrons exceed the speed of light in water, which is slower than the speed of light in a vacuum, which makes that possible. Yeah. It's very cool whenever you see a reactor turn on and it goes from just nothing to blue glow. Okay, so let me see. Not what I wanted. Let me see. Sudo Mythic CLI status. I think that's it. See, now the Nginx server's up and running. So now, if I look at netstat here, Now we have 7443 actually properly listening. Okay. Good. Good. All right. So now, in theory, we should be able to pull it up over here. Hey, there we go. All right. What was our admin cred? So grep admin from our .env. All right. Let me get this. So this is mythic admin. And here's our password. Yeah, there we go. Now we're cooking with propane. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna add a user. Username, Blaise. I can't even type my own name correctly. Password. Password 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to make sure I don't jack this up. Password. Nope, messed it up. Password 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Email. Nunya at business dot lol. Create. There we go. Okay, so now log out. Ah, damn it! I didn't mean to do that. Because I need to make him an admin. There we go. Now we should be able to log in with our Blaise creds. Password. Or there we go. Excellent. We're now logged in. New operation. AD lab. There we go. Make current. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So now we got to go get some services installed. Yes, we're cooking with propane and propane accessories. All right, let me see here. Mythic C2 profiles. I need the HTTP profile. Let's go ahead and get that installed. So what we'll do sudo mythic CLI. I think it's install GitHub. That. All right, so that'll build, and then we'll get one agent in here. We will go ahead and get our. What's our? Where's Apollo? Here we go. Supports Windows. Supported C2 channels. HTTP, SMB, TCP, and WebSocket. We'll go ahead and get the SMB one also. Yeah, let's get the SMB one as well. It should just be SMB. Yeah, we can use that exact same command. We'll just change this to SMB. Server message blockage. And then let's go get Apollo. I think it's not Apollo. I think it's not Mythic C2. I think it's Mythic Agents. Yeah, there we go. And I believe it's just Apollo. There we go. So we'll just use good old Apollo for this. We'll do the exact same command. Boop. Get some Apollo action. Some of that sweet, sweet Apollo. I finished my tea. Sad. It was tasty. Let's see. I'm gonna go with Cyber Schnoz. What's up, man? So, recently came across a company that builds persona-based identity systems. Things like masked phone numbers, alias emails, and compartmentalized digital identities. Is that considered a distinct area within cybersecurity or privacy engineering? So are there companies working on similar identity segmentation platforms that you're aware of? I dropped the name, but it's near my area and I was driving when I started researching it. I have not heard of that. I mean, I have, but not anything that's like, and I've never heard of anybody who's advertising for that. You know what I mean? And I'd say that probably falls into a very specialized subset of operational security, which you would basically call, like I said, operational security in there. Yeah, I'm not familiar with anybody who, like I said, I've known of some companies in the past that did that, but yeah, never anybody who, it's one of those things like you have to know somebody who knows somebody, right? They don't advertise what they're doing. So, if you can, when you get to a safe spot, you said you saw it while you were driving. DM me the name because I'm curious to go look at it. Okay, we should be good over here now. So let's look at our services. We have Zepalo, and Unst we have HTTP and SMB. Ah, that is good, yeah. Yeah. Let's go ahead and make an HTTP profile. Real quick, that is not correct. This is the... That is not it. Here we go. Let's do this. We'll call this just our main profile. And this is not going to connect on HTTPS. We're going to connect back to 10.9, 10.250 on good old port 80. Do none. No encryption. And you might be wondering, why are we doing no encryption? Well, it's because it's in our lab environment. If I want to go inspect the traffic, I want to have that ability. So there we go. We'll create that. And then let's go make ourselves a new payload. Good old Apollo. And we'll make it a Windows executable. We'll leave all this kind of standard. I'm going to leave all this as default because one of the challenges that the AI agent will come across, and it should have, is it has the ability to load commands as they come up, right? Create payload. There we go. Build failed. Apollo does not support plain text encryption. Well, you're just a turd bucket, aren't you? Fine. All right, let's go fix that then. Fine. Main. Change that. Fine. We'll do frickin' AES-256. Update. I've never tried to build Apollo without the encryption. There we go. Okay, thanks. Thanks, man. All right, let's see. So now that we've got that good, let me double check our payload. Ta-da! Okay. So we're not going to have it do the initial stuff in here. Let's see, view payload configuration. Let's see, host this and... Actually, close. We won't host it. I'm just going to copy. Just going to copy this. No. Highlight it. There we go. Oh, I need some way to get it over there conveniently. Oh, how do I want to do that? If I download it onto this computer, it's just going to nuke it, unfortunately. I'll have to think about how I want to get over to the test box. I got an idea. I think I know how to do it. Yep, that's me. Well, shot down in a blaze of glory. All right, I don't want to get this thing over here, I think. I tell you what, let's go try something stupid. Oh no, actually, I want to go modify this. Properties. I'm going to change that from... I want to change the credential set that we're logging in because we don't want to log in as local user. We want to log in as domain user. So that'll be our AD account. That's what we want. It's not password? Password? Damn it. Did I change it in the config and not realize it? me see. There's our there's our NAA password. Wait, did I not set up a domain user's already logged in there? Gumby with the spammage. All right, well, let's do this then. Let's just go connect over to the domain controller real quick. DC01 and crap, which one was DC01? Let's see. What was our DC IP address? It is 10.9.10.10. Let's go connect over to that. 10.9.10.10. And we need to change his credentials as well. This is going to be domain admin. And I believe it was just password. Yeah, there we go. Would ADUT come up? No. Let's see. Active Directory users and computers. Let me double check this. Apologize, this is going to be small, but there's not really a good way to zoom this in. Where is users? Here's domain user right here. Nope. Properties. What was his password last set? Let's see. Password never expires. Where was it? Is it in here? There's reset password. We could just do that. Alright, let me see if that will work now. Okay, I think the problem is I think it wants the full one, so it should be. Let me go change this. I don't think because we're not giving it the domain in the user credential. I think that's what it wants. So it probably wants something like ludus.domain/domain user. Because we have password in there. So I know I have the right password. Yeah, that's what it wanted. Alright. Alright. Now we're talking. It didn't? That's weird. There we go. Let's see. So now this is already here. Okay, now let me see if I can get the payload over here real quick. Actually, you know what we'll do is we will host it. We'll just call it apollo.exe. Because then what we can do is we'll come over here to we'll just edge on this a little bit. Yeah, I said what I said. 10.10.10.250 apollo.exe. Keep anyway. Because this does have very basic Defender running on it. I didn't feel like nuking Defender off of the workstation. Let's see. Downloads. I didn't like it. I wish it would let me save it as. I mean, I could do it. Let me see. don't think I have wget on here. I do? Okay. See what it does. Yeah, I didn't like that. That's fine, because we have a file just for that. Let's see. Payload. Didn't like that? Oh, I think I actually have to tell it, like, tag, I think it's URI. Yeah, and then I think you have to tell it what the out file is. Payload apollo.exe. So it downloaded it, but it didn't do anything with it. That's what it was doing. There we go. Oh, I need to change that. This is going to annoy me. Show file name extensions. There we go. All right, so this particular folder we excluded from Defender just to get it to call back. Hey, cool. We do have a new callback. Excellent. Hey, good. So it did not come back as an administrator. So we're going to be operating from a low priv user, which actually, come to think of it, I don't think we can. There's no local privilege escalation on this system because it's a bare bones Windows 11. Let's see. Yeah, I got him hooked up. He is in the Discord. Let me see here. Question is, do I just run this as an administrator? Yeah. I'll be cheap on it. No. Oh, I need to make like a local priv-esque. I'm trying to think how I want to do it, though. I mean, we could just turn on always install elevated. We could try that. Let's see, what elevation do I want to try and use? You know what? This is actually, local priv-esque is not one of the things we're going to be testing in here with this. So I am going to go ahead and just run this as administrator. There you go. So we should see another callback, number 2. Why didn't this come back as admin? Oh, damn it. I should have done that. Wait. Load sleep. I should have built that into the payload. Damn it. So it's going to take it a second to sit here and process this real quick. The sleep command is what allows us to change the check-in time. I should have just changed that in the payload as well. Oh well. But once this is completed, then we can drop the sleep timer down to 0 and it'll just try to check in as fast as it can looking for new tasks. But typically, if this actually ran as administrator, this would be red up here. I want to double check it. Make sure I didn't screw it up. Yeah. That one just like completely didn't. Okay. So now sleep 0. We'll speed this up a little bit. Who am I? I think it's /all. We hide this one because we're done with that one. Let's see. Where's our SID? Oh, you know what? I don't think he can. I don't think he's a local. Yeah. And now that I think about it, um, let's see. Well, we could actually just do this with a shell command. Let's do shell net local group administrators. I don't think he's a member of the local admin group, so he can't run. Oh, it's not local TAC group. I don't think he is a member of the administrators. Local user and domain admins. Okay. That's all right. We could get this working. We could do this again. All right. Let me think. So what I did is I went over here and I was like, hey, run as administrator. And it's like, yeah, you're not an administrator though. So we can't run it as administrator. So we're in a low priv context right now. However, there are things we can do with this, right? Because we look at servers real quick. Here's our cert server. Oh, we're not connected to it. If we were connected to the cert server, actually, you know what? We might be able to. MSTSC. Go connect over to cert server. Yes. We should see all the various vulnerable templates installed on this system in here. Oh, that's not bueno. Did they not install correctly? Win32, no file. Oh, is this one not? No, this should have worked just fine in 2019. Hang on. What I want to see is I want to list all of the available templates in the CA. We might have to do it from cert util. Yeah, we can do it from cert util though. I don't know why that UI is not working correctly. Oh. Weird. So did the certificate server not... So maybe the ADCS vulnerabilities did not actually get installed, because we should see certificate templates in here. Well, I wish I could zoom this in. Let's see. I do see ADCS. I wonder why. Scroll. There you go. What configuration is required here? Post-deployment configuration stage not started. Oh, really? Oh, so it looks like it did not, in fact, finish. Well, that is a suck. Well, that's a bummer. It looks like, I think the lab deployed okay for SCCM, but not for ADCS. that's a suck. We might have to change. Maybe we could change just this one to server 2022. Let me look at something real quick in here. Let's see if we can find this real quick before we wrap up the stream. Let's see. Bad Sector Labs. Because in here, I know they recommend that you do this with in here they recommend doing this with Windows Server 2022. We did it with 2019. If this was going to work, it should have worked either. Oh, damn it. I wish I had checked it before we deployed it again. Alright, well, that's a bummer. And unfortunately, this is where I need to wrap it up for tonight. Damn. I was hoping to at least... I thought I was going to get further in the lab than that. Alright. Unfortunately, that's where we got to kill it. That is where we need to end it. If you have any suggestions over on Twitch, feel free to shout them out. Let's see. For who we can raid over to. Let's see who's on. Science is always on. They're always on. Good peoples. Oh, sorry, 44, man. Good to see you, though. Let's see. Who's on right now? Coppinger is on. And looks like he's actually live. He's not sleeping right now. I do like Coppinger. Let's see, who else do we have in here? Sounds like you crushed your Sunday. I had a pretty good Sunday today, which is great because this coming week I'm actually taking another course with Jason Haddix. I want to see what his attacking AI course is like, so see if I can recommend it for other folks to take. So something we typically do is we send in a scout. Ooh, RWX Rob is on. Yeah, what's he working on? Yeah, we'll go right over to Bob on there. But before I kick that off, yeah. I have not gone through the CRTO2 yet, 44. I was waiting for him to port it over to the new platform, and he has, and I've not taken the time to sit down on it. Actually, I need to set aside some time to go through some Azure and AWS coursework that I've had set aside for freaking ever. And so I do need to go check that out. So, but yeah, had a really good Sunday today. I hope all of y'all have a fantastic week. I'm looking forward to this week because I'm going to be working on doing some internal coding dev for my team. So I'm looking forward to that. And then also taking Jason Haddix's attacking AI course. So I can see if I can recommend it over to other folks on my team. Because it's coming down the pipe. We've gotten more than a handful of those kind of assessments coming through. So, all right, let me kick off the raid. We are gonna raid over to RWX Rob because I haven't seen him in a while. I hope he's doing well. So do me a favor, guys. When you get over to the beautiful Read Write Execute Rob, drop a bunch of happy hackers and hack the planets in there and show him some love so we can get some work done. And I want you all to have a fantastic week. Crushing It mode. If it's already Monday, Crushing It mode is in full effect. For those of you like me in the States, tomorrow will be full on 100% uncut, grass-fed, organic, hyper Crushing It mode. You heard me. I will catch up with you guys Wednesday night. We'll keep doing the new stream. And I want y'all to remember one very super important thing that I mean from the bottom of my heart, and that is I love you. Peace.